Hi, I'm Trantor, and welcome to the Aura Finance update for December and for a quick look at what's happening in 2023. In today's video, I just want to go over some of the latest updates, what we currently know, and a bit of a where we sit now for Aura Finance. In particular, to the meditators out there, that's those who've been minting the NFTs for relocking their Aura tokens. Congratulations on all that's been going on. But importantly, to anybody in the DeFi community, I look forward to hearing your feedback on anything you'd like to know more about with regards to Aura Finance. What we'll look at today is a quick rundown of the protocols that have been vote locking their Aura, protocols that are planning to potentially accumulate Aura in the near future, as well as some of the partners, and importantly, how governance and the peace treaty have really played out towards the back end of 2022. We'll do a quick look at what's going to happen in 2023 and beyond with some of the little bits of information we currently have. First thing to look at is a quick summary. As of the end of 2022, by December, noting that the launch was in June of 2022, so within the 6-month period, we have a serious number of protocols who are currently vote locking their Aura positions. Some of the larger protocols include Lido in the bottom right there, in particular with their staked ETH, as well as Rocket Pool ETH. This is where we're seeing an awful lot of value drive and a lot of TVL in these liquid state derivatives, essentially, of the Ethereum token. You're also seeing additional investments made by Temple DAO, Gnosis DAO as well, Stargate, Beethoven X, Inverse Finance, and you're seeing things done from Redacted Cartel and Badger Finance as well. Badger DAO. There's a couple of new ones you might not have heard of previously. Astrolab, who will be launching very soon. They're already accumulating a lot of Aura tokens as well. And you've got Paladin with a number of their quests and how they conduct a number of their bits of business. So a lot of interesting stuff going on with different sort of protocols who are already accumulating their vote locked Aura and voting on specific pools that they own. There's also a series of large protocols who are looking to get into Aura Finance, and I've got some proof here to show you. So on the left here, you've got Gearbox. They currently have discussions up on their forum talking about how they may seek to seed a new pool, in particular on Balancer, and then leverage what they can with a series of their own liquidity elements and their own ETH, basically to incentivize votes onto their pool on Aura. So that would be either a 50-50 pool or potentially an 80-20, and that's currently up for discussion with Gearbox, I should say. In the middle here, you can see Olympus DAO. So Olympus DAO previously, in one of their previous votes, decided to whitelist the Aura token. This is interesting because this means that their treasury from some time now has been able to sort of hold on to the Aura token. So essentially they whitelist that they can continue to hold it. And they're seeking to do that. Now, this is important because this is a treasury-focused DAO, Olympus DAO. So they're focused on having large treasury. What they're also seeking to do now, and as a part of this proposal, as you can see from the bottom bullet here under execution, Olympus DAO is committing to buy the equivalent of $1 million worth of Aura over the next 6 months. So essentially to increase their governance capacity and their ability to vote for pools that they own, in particular pools on Aura. The final one to look to is the Frax Improvement Proposal 153 on the far right. In this instance, it's a plan to, again, move across and sort of build on the success they've had in the Curve ecosystem and now try to replicate that same success in the Balancer ecosystem. So again, that's up for another discussion at the moment with Frax. So a lot of interesting discussions here. I can't say if they're all going to pass or not, and then clearly each of these are up to individual holders. But if you go to the forum sites for those 3 protocols, you can see there's a lot of comments for and some against as well, who talk to the potential for accumulating Aura. The reason I'm bothering to tell you this is that in particular, when we look at Frax and Olympus, and then, obviously Gears on a growth path as well, we're talking about enormous pools of not only capital, but also liquidity that they'd be seeking to incentivize should they join the Balancer and by extension, the Aura ecosystem. So this is something that's likely to be a big driver for more TVL and potentially for significantly more Aura tokens to be locked in the near future. There's also a series of partners building on Aura Finance, and we've heard about this throughout 2022, in particular December, November, and now obviously coming into January. So you've seen on Twitter and at various other places, Notional, they now have at least the beta versions of their leveraged vaults up and running. So this is their wrapped staked ETH vaults. These leveraged version vaults, I should say, increase the APRs up to around 36% on your wrapped staked ETH position. So very interested for that liquid staking derivatives for Ethereum. Jones DAO on the top right, they're looking to move across from Arbitrum, which is where they're normally situated, and looking to come across and basically create a pounder from what we can tell, which would be J Aura. So that's like Jones, they put the J in the front to let you know what it is, and J Aura, so eventually an auto pounder that maximizes your votes for you, much like what happens with Hidden Hand, but then sells that back into buying more Aura. So it's really a means of accumulating Aura the best possible way. And then down the bottom, you'll also see Sturdy Finance and Beefy Finance. Both of them are getting very big with regards to the vaults they use, leveraging the technologies and the vaults within Aura. One of the big things to talk about for this year has been the change to the winner-takes-all style of voting. You may have seen a mess throughout the year, and it was a mess, to be honest with you, which was a series of backwards and forwards in balance of governance on how Aura might seek to vote in the near future. What happens now is, as a result of a series of votes and discussions, and we'll talk about the peace treaty with a little while, but the key point is Aura now basically has an internal vote on all balancer gauges. So in the event that any balancer new pool is to be added or anything is to be capped or limited or whatever, that internal vote will be replicated on the Aura snapshot, and then people who own their vote-locked Aura will be able to vote on essentially that proposal. That vote-locked Aura is then brought together, and whichever side wins, it's a winner-takes-all approach, and Aura will be able to vote with its entire stack of VBAL on that particular sort of gauge or particular concern. Why that's important is because not all the VL Aura, that's not all the vote-locked Aura holders were actually voting. And this really meant that oftentimes the interests of Aura itself were not being fully measured. And I'll show you an example in a minute. But if you look on the right here, here's an example of some of the recent votes. You can see some of the larger holders and some of the larger delegates. So you've got things like delegates for Badger. They own up 741,000 Aura. Elba up the top here is also a delegate for large numbers of Aura. Solar Curve from the Balancer ecosystem and a number of others. Carpet Key as well. Large holders here of Aura who are able to vote for and against for specific proposals. What this has essentially meant is that previously, where you would have seen these votes, like I just showed you on the left, these votes for Aura now, whereas in the past, as you can see from the middle box here, delegate for Aura, the Aura delegates were only able to vote with about 233,000 VBAL. You'll now see on the latest, they're voting with well over 433,000 VBAL as a result of essentially how this delegation system now works. So some very interesting stuff there. I will highlight that the Delegate Council, so the Delegate Council that currently exists, is an elected body of individuals who at this stage essentially have their own system of voting, and they are able to vote with the Aura, so that's on the left-hand side here. They can vote much like the Badger element does or any others, and they vote for what they consider to be the best interest really of Aura protocol. So that's something we'll discuss in further videos in the future on how they're going to optimize that voting system. The big news, though, for 2022, and for those of you who are particularly concerned about it, is the peace treaty and how that's all played out. So essentially, BIP 128, which is Balancer Improvement Proposal 128, was essentially an agreement, a gentleman's agreement between Humpy, which was the name given to the VBAL whale, and Aura Finance. Essentially, what was agreed to was that Humpy would restrict the number of pools he was sort of voting on, he would spread them out. And importantly, he would not add more than 17.5%. In particular, Humpy, and this is also the people he represents, would not continue to stack VBAL and would seek to unwind a series of their vote, those vote escrowed balancer tokens over the coming year, with Aura promising to facilitate an OTC of that OTC, that's a over-the-counter sale of that VBAL towards the end of that unlocking period. So really what that's saying is peace, truce, no more need to fight. And this is a very big deal at the moment because the balancer wars, there were some benefits, sure, in keeping the balancer price up, but there was also a lot of negativity and black holing of certain pools. And it appears that, at least for the moment, that fight is behind us. And it's now back to protocols fighting for the greatest percentage of Aura tokens and of VBAL tokens more broadly. It will be very interesting to see, of course, how this continues to play out, because basically the votes that Humpy has and why he chose to create this peace deal and how Aura did as well. You can get a lot of different feedback on that in the Twitter space, and if there's any questions, I can give you my take on it as well. But what's notable now is that there'll be ongoing votes heading across from these VBAL votes towards Tetu. So Tetu is another one of the similar to Aura sort of model that exists on Polygon, and they have sort of a first mover advantage at the moment for a number of pools on Polygon. Aura continues to be by far the largest holder of Aura tokens, but clearly Tetu is starting to catch up as they get a number of these Humpy votes as well. So interesting stuff going on. But the positive news, of course, is that the war is over. The peace treaty has been signed by all parties. So great stuff moving forward. So what's going to happen in the future? Well, the key growth for Aura continues to be, without any shadow of a doubt, is stacking more VBAL. So getting more of that Aura BAL locked. You can see here now in the center of the screen, and you can look at the little purple peppy here having a look. VBAL share currently locked into Aura BAL is around 23%. Now, this is down from the 30% it was at in around about August of last year, but that's as a result of a lot of these balancer wars and that fight with Humpy. What we can expect to see over the coming months then is an ongoing focus at the start of 2023 to building up the Aura BAL sort of size and increasing the stack of VBAL, because that's what drives the ultimate value to the Aura token. We need that Aura token essentially to be able to control as much VBAL as possible to ensure that the best possible rewards are given to stakers. How this is going to be achieved is really the topic of considerable discussion at the moment in Aura Discords and on various social media platforms. Essentially, there's discussions about increasing fees, about potentially how to keep the Aura Val peg up, additional yield opportunities, and there's also options with other protocols who might seek to increase the pounders that they offer for the Aura Val token, be that Badger or Llama or potentially another protocol themselves. So who knows? There's also discussion in the near future about layer 2. So we can expect, and we note this from some of the Twitter releases from Aura, that there's likely to be a move across to Arbitrum and a move across to Polygon in the near future. So that'll again be very interesting, in particular noting the Tetsu lead on a number of those Polygon pools. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out. There's no reason for it to be a nasty fight, but it's always good and to have more competition on all chains, as that's what's going to drive more people to buy up those BAL tokens and to lock into Aura itself. So some interesting stuff there on how that'll play out. The last part to talk to at the moment is just on unlock dates. So I wanted to highlight that where we are at the moment is in this period here. So this is sort of like a low period, and we've come off again a low period here. We've seen a slow sort of number of unlocks, but the big unlocks are really coming here now. So sort of like mid-Feb, so late Jan, Feb, March is when we can see the big sort of round of unlocks all happening at around the same time. Now, of course, this will start to flatten out over time as people don't auto-lock straight back in. But you'll note that the NFT mints sort of end around this period here. And then you've got additionally a number of quite large unlocks coming up straight after. So an interesting period to watch price action, whether that has a lot of people stacking additional Aura tokens to lock in. So essentially buying more and then stacking more, or whether alternatively, people are looking to sell. Don't forget what's happened previously, and I don't want to talk to price because who the heck knows in these markets. But I will say that in previous times when we've seen CVX unlocks, so that's convex unlocks, there's been a lot of fear beforehand as people try to dump tokens in preparation for what they think is going to be a massive dump, only for everybody to see a boost in the price sort of straight after. And that's repeated itself 3 or 4 times now throughout 2022. I think the same is likely to happen with Aura because there is no reason for significant sell pressure on these locked tokens at the moment with the ongoing incentives that are being provided through Hidden Hand and through a variety of other systems. So my take on this, Aura continues to have a very bright future, not surprisingly. Of course, I will note my bias to this particular protocol. I'm very interested, but with 23.5% or 23% of VBAL share now, a focus on getting more and more VBAL in the near future, large new partners coming in, all of this stuff designed to help with the peg. This looks to be very positive. So we're looking forward to seeing 2023 and how that develops, and we'll see you all in the next video.